Yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker. For me, then, for those dyed-in-the-wool bigots and racists, yeah, I can't give up. It is hard, it is painful, and I get why most of us will. But at the same time, I do hold out hope that every now and again, like a Paul, since I'm a preacher who's out to kill Christians, he can get converted and become one of the greatest evangelists. So there are stories of white racists who turn their lives around, who begin to see a different way and begin to open a different path for those like them who believe the noxious, toxic, racist beliefs that have been pumped into the collective mainstream of so many pockets of American society. So yeah, I can't ultimately give up, although I understand the strategy of speaking to those who can hear. Don't waste your time on those who can't. But every now and again, you got to throw a bone even out there. Yeah, it will probably be, spurned, attacked, but every now and again somebody can derive some marrow of truth from what you toss out, and you might be able to change a mind or transform a spirit.
Michael Eric Dyson, the new book is Long Time Coming, Reckoning with Race in America. Professor Dyson, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
You're listening to Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Lulu Garcia-Navarro.
And I'm Rachel Martin.
And I'm Angela King. This is KUOW-FM Seattle, KUOW Tumwater, KQOW Bellingham.
Support for KUOW comes from the Residences at Rainier Square. The Residences offer...
The Seattle here for What's Next. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Eggland's Best.
I'm Steve Kathan. The CDC is expected to recommend who should get the coronavirus vaccine first once one is available. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine tells CBS News he and other governors are making plans.
First responders, or first-line nurses, first-line doctors, those are individuals who clearly need to get it. Are people in our nursing homes who are the most vulnerable.
The Pfizer vaccine will be sent to states in 2 weeks, the one from Moderna a week later. Can't come soon enough, says Dr. Anthony Fauci.
What we're going through now in the United States is really the worst that we've had for the entire 10 months. The slope of our curve is very steep.
A bipartisan group in the Senate's proposing a $908 billion virus relief plan. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell tells Congress a deal may be a key ingredient in economic recovery.
We'll use our tools until the danger is well and truly past, and that it may require help from other parts of government as well, including Congress.
Asia correspondent Ramy Inocencio has more on what things are like now in the Chinese city where the virus outbreak began.
Here in Wuhan, it's almost as if the coronavirus never happened at all. At the city's main food market, hungry customers are back in long lines. At the city's biggest dance club, thousands dance, drink, and laugh, and they're all maskless.
Official figures there indicate the virus killed 4,000 people in Wuhan. At least 4 people are dead today, more than a dozen hurt after a crash in Germany. CBS's Vicki Barker.
Bright orange ambulances and medics in orange uniforms have converged on the pink and white and gray buildings of Trier's ancient city center, whose streets were already bedecked with Christmas garlands. Eyewitnesses say the car was driven at high speed right into the crowded pedestrian district, mowing down everyone in its path.
A South Carolina couple claims they're being held captive in the British Virgin Islands. CBS's Meg Oliver says Lynn and John Hines have been held since mid-November after accidentally sailing too close to shore.
The couple says they, along with a friend and boat captain, were detained after their ship accidentally veered into the territory.
The British Virgin Islands came up upon us and they said, you need to drop your sails and you need to follow us.
The British Virgin Islands has banned U.S. citizens because of the coronavirus. The local government said the persons were charged with illegal entry, but the couple says they've yet to hear that from customs or immigration officials.
Nobody would tell us why we were here. We want out. We want to go home.
We did nothing wrong.
Uber has closed on its $2.65 billion purchase of Postmates, the delivery platform. Wall Street, the Dow is up 268 points. This is CBS News.
Today, stronger immunity and better nutrition are more important than ever. That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more. That's healthy news for everyone. Only Eggland's Best.
Health officials are waiting nervously to determine the impacts of Thanksgiving travel on COVID. That's coming up after traffic with Emery Martin. Well, crews in Mount Lake Terrace cleared a collision southbound 5 at 205th, but unfortunately, we're still seeing about 3 miles of slowing, putting you on about a 12 to 15-minute delay along southbound 5. If you're north of the I-5-405 interchange, you may want to consider taking 99 instead. Southbound 405 is seeing patches of slowing out of Alderwood with additional delays into Canyon Park. Northbound 167 continues to drag from 410 into Algona with additional delays from 180th and Kenton up along the Kennydale Hill. Tacoma to Seattle taking you 40 minutes. Just a little bit of slowing around the Dome. It does get heavy as you head towards Yesler. Olympia to Tacoma coming in at 30 minutes. This report sponsored by Bell Red Energy Solutions. Is your home ready for cold weather season? Certified technicians at Bell Red Energy Solutions can help keep your home just the right temperature with a new furnace or heat pump. Visit bellred.com today. That's your Cairo Radio Real-Time Traffic. I'm Emery Martin.
Now, from the Cairo Radio News Center at mynorthwest.com.
State health officials say it will be at least a week before they know the impact Thanksgiving travel had on the spread of COVID-19. Cairo Radio's Hannah Scott has the latest.
More than 2,300 new cases of COVID-19 were reported by the state yesterday. That's in line with what the past few days have actually seen. A more concerning trend, the 136 new hospitalizations added yesterday across the state. The latest data shows just over 165,000 people have had coronavirus in Washington state. Since the start of the pandemic, nearly 11,000 have been hospitalized.
If you have an iPhone, you probably got an alert about the state's new COVID exposure notification system. When someone tests positive for the virus, they will be given a code which they can input into this new app. The system will then notify anyone who has been within 6 feet for about 15 minutes of the positive person about the possible exposure.
We've already had over 200,000 Washingtonians enrolled in this program.
Governor Jay Inslee says the system is completely anonymous and does not track or share personal information or location. It does work with Android devices as well. Plans are moving forward to build a tiny home village in the South Sound for homeless veterans. Cairo 7 TV's Tracy Long has details.
The Ording Veterans Village will have 35 tiny homes, and there will be a community center with a kitchen, recreational area, and staff office. The village is set to open this spring, and potential residents will need to go through a background check and drug screening process.
Police are investigating a deadly collision involving a car and pedestrian last night in Bellevue. It happened around 6 o'clock on Northeast 8th Street in the Crossroads neighborhood. Investigators say a 92-year-old man was trying to cross the street to get home. The driver, who is in his 50s, said he didn't see the man walk into the street. He did cooperate with police. They say he showed no signs of impairment. Time now for your Cairo Radio weather forecast. Mostly sunny this afternoon with highs in the mid-40s. Just 36 right now in downtown Seattle. I'm Lacey Evans.
For breaking news, highlights, podcasts, and more, download the Cairo Radio app. Cairo Radio, here for what's next.
From the Carter Subaru Studios, this is the G and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Today is December 1st, and you know, Ursula, 2020 might not have given us what we want, but 2020 has made us all appreciate what we have. Good morning, Ursula.
For sure. And you know what? Today's a new day, new opportunity to make it better than yesterday. I'm feeling good.
Ain't no doubt. Good morning to you, Chef.
Good morning. Appreciate you guys for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, at 10 o'clock, yes, like we do every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, Dr. Angela Rasmussen, she will join us. So send your COVID-related questions to 98973 so that we can all better understand what we are all going through as it relates to this virus. And also, we want to be able to ask your questions. But Ursula, let's get right to your top 5 news stories of the day.
And I want to start off with something very positive. The Seahawks are now sitting on top of the NFC West after beating Philadelphia 23-17 last night. DK Metcalf had another stellar game.
Play fake. Here comes the rush, and Russ is going to throw deep over the top. Got a man out there reaching out, making the catch. Guess who? DK Metcalf over the top of Darius Slay. I might be a little bit sore, but who cares? Because I'm a Megatron. I'm going to reach up and catch this perfectly thrown ball with one arm over Darius Slay for a big first down. Are you kidding me?
And you know who is just loving every second of this?
We were in control, and it was great to see our guys play like that and play consistently. We've taken a real nice step forward, and I'm hoping that we can just keep building on it.
Coach Pete Carroll, of course. The Hawks are now 8-3 for the season, and next up, they will be playing the New York Giants, who are coming to town on Sunday.
Ursula, everybody don't really want to hear my opinion as to what we saw last night. I believe that yours opinion is more colorful and better because considering... Well, no, here's why. No, pull back the curtains. You text Chef and I more during Seahawks games than ever. You tell us what you thought last night.
Okay, at the beginning, Russell was looking a little rusty. So my first text to you was he needs to stop talking about that fragrance and stop talking about buying a team, and he needs to put his head back into the game. But then he started picking up, and it was starting to look like the Russell, so I think he settled down a bit. Okay. And I'm not trying to be really hard on Russell, but I think we've been spoiled, so it's like I don't want him to fall apart now. But DK Metcalf...
You like him, huh?
I love him. But he was getting targeted. I mean, it was like there was a brawl every few seconds out there, and DK seemed to always be the target.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you try to do. That's what they want to do to the big guys, the bigger, stronger, faster guys. They want to kind of hit them. I'm sure that's what's talked about. I'm sure these defensive coordinators, they're in those rooms with their defense. They're like, look, you want to get beat up and bullied on Monday Night Football, on prime TV, on national TV. Do not let that big man embarrass you. So you need to go ahead and get physical right away. And as you can see at the beginning of the game, Darius Slay is a defensive back for the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best corners in the game. Pretty good corner. Well, DK didn't have none of that. DK let him know what's up.
Oh my goodness! So there was a little tension there, but it kind of made it exciting. I thought. Definitely missed, and it was great to see that. But what was the deal with that touchdown in the end for the Eagles? A lot of people lost a lot of money.
Ursula, so just for everybody to know, so at one point, the Seahawks were a 6.5-point favorite to win that game. Well, someone, not me, because y'all know I ain't got $2,000, let alone $500,000. Someone bet $500,000 that the Seahawks would win by more than 6.5 points. Well, everything was cool. They were about to win. Everything was gravy. The last play at the very end, we just kind of throw the Hail Mary pass. And usually what happens, like 98% of the time, they knock it down. Everybody goes home. No. They caught that thing, Ursula.
How painful
and somebody
is that?
Lost money. That's
$500,000. Yeah, a bet by phone was one of those MGM grand ones. I mean, that's crazy. That's kind of money I don't ever.
Don't gamble, Ursula. Repeat after me. Say it with me. Don't gamble. Say it.
Don't gamble what you can't afford to lose. How's that?
Fair enough.
Okay, so when the governor banned indoor dining 2 weeks ago, restaurant owners were in an uproar, understandably, because they said there was no evidence that they were the reason for the virus spreading. Anthony Anton is the CEO of the Washington Hospitality Association, and he had told us that the move could result in up to 100,000 jobs lost.
We're frustrated because we know we're not the problem. The data now says we're not the problem in Washington state. Restaurants are safe and should have been left open.
And there were many critics of this move. They keep pointing out that there is no data. But as it turns out, right before Thanksgiving, Seattle King County Health released a new report that shows 15% of the people who tested positive for COVID over the past 2 months had gotten sick right after going to a restaurant or a food establishment. So they said, yeah, that was one of the things that I did. This same report also says restaurants have accounted for the second highest number of outbreaks in King County outside of healthcare facilities, including 40 outbreaks in the past 60 days.
Hear me out. Restaurants in the state of Washington need to be open. Hear me out. I'm looking at the numbers, okay? And in looking at these numbers, Ursula, where it says 15%, basically, right? They are trying to attribute 15% of these COVID cases are attributed to restaurants in those situations. Okay, stop right there. Now, you and I both know that even if you go to a restaurant and dine in, let's just say this is not even COVID. How often do you go to a stranger's table and like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. You don't. 98% of the time, you're sitting at your table with your people minding your business. Okay. Now, you go also to the numbers, Ursula, and you see where it says contact inside of households have been attributed to 41% of the cases, and also workplace situations attribute to 25%. Here's where this is what I'm trying to say. I'm willing to bet, and I ain't got that much money, but I am willing to bet.
You just said don't gamble. Okay.
Thanks, Ursula. But being serious, I'm willing to bet that the majority of cases happen in homes. I mean, even more than 41%. Homes and businesses and workplaces. And here's why. Because we are careless at home. We are comfortable at home. We are having these get-togethers at home. And as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, the majority of people that I know that have caught and contracted COVID have been because of either at home or in the workplace. And also, by the way, I don't think we at home do a good job of telling the truth and properly talking about contact tracing. And I don't think workplaces do a good job when it comes to contact tracing. There's some workplaces in the world that have situations where somebody might get COVID and you didn't even know that the person next to you had COVID because you had to find out maybe 2 weeks later. This is why COVID is running rampant. Open the restaurants.
I don't get it. You're saying COVID is running rampant. Open the restaurants. So first of all, okay, let's go back through what is being said here.
Yep.
First things first.
Yes.
This says 15% of people who tested positive had gotten sick, and they think, okay, at least they know. This is very incomplete data. This is the problem. I will continue to say that our state needs to give a lot more financial help to these small businesses, restaurants, gyms, etc., that have been forced to shut down. But whenever I ate at restaurants, and you know I love to do that,
yes.
I cannot wait until I can do it again. I was never asked to give my contact information. So if someone were to get sick, how on earth would I find out? There is no contact tracing, or there's very little. So in the absence of full data, just because you don't have that information, that doesn't mean that people weren't getting sick. The one thing that we know for sure is that if you are indoors without a mask, eating and talking, without social distancing, you are at high risk or higher risk of getting sick. So you know for a fact that there have been bars and restaurants, especially I saw it with my own eyes during Seahawks games, that were not following any of the rules. Were they the exception? Maybe. But they know now that restaurants accounted for the second highest number of outbreaks in King County outside of healthcare facilities. So what part of that says it's a good idea to reopen? I think the faster we can get the virus knocked down and a vaccine in place, the faster we can reopen. We need to keep these businesses whole so that until we can get to that point. But I want to also just say one other thing. I reject this notion that the governor, who is taking advice, he's not coming up with these himself, he's taking the advice of his health experts, that he wants to destroy businesses so that he can beat them into submission and have control over us. I mean, that sounds ludicrous.
Nah, I don't like it when people say those things. I don't like that. But to end this topic, Ursula, just a simple question, and it's not just for everybody, it's a very simple question. Is it right now, at this time, is it worth it to continue to keep these restaurants closed for dine-in, right now, closed, and risk some of these restaurants never making it again?
That's where we need to step in and give them the money to survive.
Okay, okay, I agree. So one or two things are going to happen. Either open them back up or you're giving them the money. If you and I, just you and I, Chef, if we keep saying, hey, what you need to do, and we go into middle of December and nobody ever did anything, then it doesn't help.
Correct. So there is a growing amount of pressure, and the governor came up with $110 million. Well, that's just a tiny portion of what is necessary. So they need to do better. But and again, this comes from someone who loves to eat at restaurants, so I cannot wait.
Somebody said, gee, you're being hypocritical. You won't eat at restaurants. I know. I won't. Bingo. But that doesn't mean, even though I won't eat at restaurants.
And look at how I'm arguing, and I'm the one.
Yeah, we're both backwards. Okay, let's see what's next.
Research finds that children spending long periods of time in quarantine could lead to increased emotional and mental health issues, and that just exacerbates the problems that may have existed before the pandemic. Elisa Miller wrote about this in New York Magazine.
Even in a crowded house with a parent or two parents who are trying to work to pay the rent, and there are other kids who need help with homework, the young children can still suffer because there's nobody giving them consistent back and forth nurturing attention.
The CDC has also just released this new report that shows ER visits related to mental health were up by 24% for children between the ages of 5 to 11 and 31% for kids between 12 to 17. This is just from April through October compared with the same time last year.
I think we're all on the same page with this. I think we are. I think that we understand that kids right now are struggling throughout the country and here. However, I don't like the messaging when some try to say and blame teachers and blame these teachers and administrators for being the reasons why kids are drastically suffering. Like that's too far. I just want to be clear about that.
Oh, absolutely. But what's the solution? So the solution is, first of all, they're going to change the guidelines in terms of what is acceptable to bring students back to in-person learning. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, so much more needs to happen to address mental health. Mental health amongst kids was a huge problem even before the pandemic. And anyone who has a child who is dealing with mental health issues knows it is very, and I'm fortunate to say I was not one of them, but someone in my family, when you have a kid who is in dealing with a crisis, to try to get mental health help and support, very difficult. Now imagine when it's exacerbated during the pandemic and you're trying to get that kind of help.
Yep.
I think that is going to be increased argument in favor of trying to get the schools back open. And maybe even before these other businesses, we should be talking about how do you safely get schools open and teachers and students back in the classroom. Okay, I need to lighten this up. So there is this brand new study out, G, and I sent it, I mentioned it to both you and Chef. Apparently, the pandemic is taking a toll on bromances.
Findings by the Washington Post show the pandemic has heightened a friendship crisis among men, with many bars closed, fewer places to hang out, watch football games, or play video games. The Post says some are compensating with Zoom poker games, backyard cigar nights, neighborhood dad WhatsApp chains, and fantasy football leagues. Many say they're having deeper conversations than before about breakups, births, wedding postponements, and job losses. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
That's a lie.
I was going to say, are you getting deeper with your...
That's a lie. Hey, right now,
Chef, I
fellas,
hear you snickering.
I'm fellas, look at your phone.
I'm with you.
Look at your group chats. Now, I'm not disagreeing that there is struggling. Like, we are missing being able to go to our partner's house, go out to the bar, watch the games. I'm not saying we ain't missing that. But that is a lie saying how deep we're getting when it comes to our group chats. Our group chats are off the chain, and especially those that are 30 and over. I take that back. 40, 45 and over, you guys know what I'm talking about. Your group chats are... they're embarrassing. They're embarrassing.
In a dude group chat.
What do we talk about?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. We sit there and we talk about what we would do if we were the quarterback on the football team. There's other stuff we talk about in there too. But anyways, group chats are just, look, it's embarrassing. If we were to show our significant others, our fellas group chats, you guys would be like, is that what you guys talk about? Yes. Now leave me alone.
Okay, I want to hear from the men in our audience. Text us at 98973. Are you missing your deep friendships right now?
Some of us have been horrible friends during this pandemic and basically not reached out at all. Not that many people have been reaching out back in return, but I think without the routine of, the Sunday football games and, hey, let's go to the bar, We're not that creative when it comes to getting in touch with our friends and finding new ways to connect. Like, we don't talk on the phone to begin with. It's probably not starting now. So, yeah, I'm guilty.
We're not creative. We're not really interesting. We share pictures and things that we see on social media. I'm telling you, it is a hot mess. At the same time, you will also realize, like, hey, once you guys are really some innocent dudes. Yeah, we don't really do much. We don't really talk about much.
So that means
really
you'll hand over your phone freely like I do to Chef?
Heck no. Heck no. No. It's innocent, but it's weird. And by the way, fellas, those that are in the group chats and everything, it is a violation to hand over your phone to your significant other. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know them group chats are sacred.
Okay.
Do you think Mark would hand over his phone in group chats?
Yes. Remember, yes. And by the way, he still shares my Facebook.
Long live Mark. Is there anything that guy's always
I know, he's a good dude.
Well, you don't think Mark has a group chat?
I know he doesn't.
He doesn't? Wow, okay. Hey, still ahead, President-elect Biden's senior communications team will be all women. That's a first. But is this a good thing? I'm a little nervous about this next segment. I promise you I am. We just discuss that next. It's G and Ursula.